Mindfulness for Resilience with Mary-Jo Fetterly, funded by the Craig H. Nielsen Foundation and brought to you by SCI&U for Healthy Living.
Welcome, everybody. We'll give a few minutes for everybody to find their way here. And as they do, we've just been talking about the weather. And as you know, I like to kind of use the weather as a bit of an analogy for things because it's happening all the time in front of us, and it involves us in so many ways. And it also highlights a lot of the ways I think that we can learn to be in the world. One such way, as Sonia was mentioning, in Toronto, it's thundery. Out in Vancouver, it's cloudy and cold. It's been quite cold. So we've got all sorts of stresses that we have naturally in the world that are, kind of like the natural weather, the different ways that we have to respond to the environment. And then we're adding on top of that this added element, which is the COVID. And I just wanted to acknowledge and welcome you back and say that I think the stress of life is inherent. And in one of the great sort of wisdom books, the Bhagavad Gita, there's a man, Arjun, and he's a peaceful. He's like the Buddha. He doesn't want to go to war. He's a pacifist, and he has to go to war, his father says, because their village is being attacked, and there's no other way to stop these intruders. And he goes to war, but he's a peaceful warrior. He doesn't bring any weapons with him. And the gist of the story is that his dad says to him as he leaves, Arjun, this is actually, the way we need to look at life. We need to approach it like, we're a warrior, and there's going to be stuff. Life is a battlefield, and it's not always easy. And so I think, those of us that are also dealing with something like a spinal cord injury during the time of COVID, we really have a lot to think about it, and a lot of reasons why we want to build resilience, why we may need to find ways to do that are augmenting what we might already be doing or have done in the past, because we're in a really different time. And I think it's important for us all to really hold in our heart the capacity for us to be gentle with ourselves, with each other, and tolerant. But most importantly, to really acknowledge that we may need to kind of find a different way of being to handle this stress that's kind of coming at us like a storm, such as the thunderstorm in Toronto today. So much like the trees, now sometimes they do crack, and they're affected by the wind of the very strong winds of time. But often the trees are just moving, with this, very, very different changing environment. So that analogy is kind of what I'm going to bring into our practice today, is that of a tree. And thinking that, when the wind blows them, they just move, they sway, they kind of go with the flow. And yet still they stand very grounded and very solid in the earth, usually, hopefully, because of that groundedness. So that groundedness is really what allows them not to be like a leaf blown off in every direction when these fluctuating waves of life, of weather, of various different stressors may come at us. So bringing that into your practice today, and I'm even going to invite you actually right now just to think about the spine, because the spine is kind of like the tree in your body. And even though we may have an injured body and not parts of it working, or maybe even sensory, we still have this beautiful connecting link from the brain into the body through our spine. And the spine is this incredible network, as you all know. And so, just imagining kind of even just the swaying movement of the spine And then for those of us that don't have a lot of mobility, we still can think of the spine, the spinal movements, if you will, which are all movements of our body and all movements of life, as this, extension and flexion, and then twisting, and then lateral flexion and extension. So no matter who you are, you can always do those 6 movements of the spine. And I really encourage you to think about that as a way of just keeping your spine mobile, because the more resilient your spine is, the more resilient your nervous system will be. And it's just another way that we can add another little tool into our toolkit that will give us a little bit more padding, if you will, from the onslaught of different things that come at us as we live life. So without further ado, we're going to find a spot that feels really comfortable, and allowing yourself to feel the seat, your seat, and feel the groundedness of your seat in your chair. Maybe adjusting so you can allow your spine to rise up out of the seat in a way that gives the spine some dignity, some length, and maybe a little bit of extension. And then just take a moment, and we're going to look up and extend the spine and feel your frontal spine. You may want to take your bottom teeth over your top teeth and get a little bit more stretch. And then relax. Make sure the shoulders don't go up as you look up, and relax downward now, taking the chin toward your chest and your eyes down. And inhale and exhale. And then do a little twist. Just twist your head toward your right shoulder. It may be stiff, and that's okay. Breathe in and out, and come back to your midline. And then go to your left shoulder. You can use your armrest to kind of support and stay grounded and get a bit of lift in your spine. And then back to your midline. And welcome to mindfulness, and shrug your shoulders up and bring your upper arm bones back and let your shoulders relax down. And then finding a comfortable position as we move into our mindfulness practice. And we're going to go a little longer today. So stay with me and stay with yourself as we move into mindfulness practice. So allowing yourself to take your relaxed stance in your dignified position, closing your eyes, and remembering that we're turning to this place of presence, of attention without tension. And allow yourself to take a moment and just tune in to where you sit, to how you feel, to what you notice. And then allow yourself to coming into stillness, but moving with your breath. So inhale, and just add a little bit of volume to your inhale as you fill your lungs and you fill your chest and your heart opens. And releasing as you exhale, feeling that release and let go. And then repeat that. Fill your lungs as best you can, as full as you can. And as you exhale, release completely and allow yourself to deepen your seat, to feel the ground beneath you as a solid, supportive place to relax into. And allow your breath to resume its natural rhythm now. And we'll notice the rhythm of your breath, the inflow and the outflow. And sense that you can relax with that rhythm. You can relax into an effortless breathing where you allow the inhale to slightly expand the chest and lift the heart. And the exhale to deepen you, to relax you, and to empty you of any idea that you need to be anywhere else than right here. There's nothing to do, no problems to solve. And for the moment, you can allow that presence to be the most important thing you're attending to. So as you notice your body breathing and your body sitting here, you notice also the contact points, the pressure or the warmth of your body where you feel your support. And just like thinking for a minute that that support is a nurturing environment. And perhaps you can sense that whole concept of the whole environment being nurturing around you. And now bring a relaxed attention to your eyes and allow them to soften, letting the brow be smooth and relaxed. The softening and the smoothing of the brow spreads up toward the hairline. And you may notice that you can just let the brain relax and recede a little bit away from the skull and the hairline. Just relaxing the upper brow and the forehead. Feel the same spaciousness quality as you relax the jaw, unhinging it, perhaps using a gentle smile to release the back of the jaw and letting the tongue release as well. Maybe it floats up to the roof of the mouth, and perhaps you feel a deepening at the back of the throat, releasing and relaxing. Continuing to notice your breath, especially if the mind wanders. And perhaps you may notice the breath at the back of your throat. There's a really special spot there where you can feel this beautiful quality of your breath passing from sort of your sinus navel cavity in toward the body. Just feel into that spot if you notice it. Effortless breathing. Continuing to watch and notice the breath, perhaps at the back of the throat, or wherever you feel your breath in your body. And we're going to add the counting in for the breath now. And so I'd like to remind you that this is kind of 95% of you really staying present and attentive to the present moment here and now, and about 5% of you thinking about the counting of the rhythm of the breath. And so as we inhale and then exhale, we count to 1. And then as we inhale and we exhale, count to 2. And you can continue. And ideally, let's go up to 10 or perhaps even 20. And if your mind wanders, simply come back to the beginning and start again. The body, the mind, and the breath becoming one. Continuing to count. And inhale, exhale, feeling the in-breath as an opening and expansion, feeling the out-breath as a deepening, a releasing. And as you continue to notice your breathing, I'm going to invite you to think about one more thing as we continue. And that is to just imagine yourself like that tree. And perhaps when you lose track of your breath, or when your mind becomes louder than your breath, come back to presence by just swaying into your spine, just ever so slightly, kind of feeling that beautiful connection of the brain and the body through your spine. And see if that brings you back into the moment with your breathing. And so we'll again go 1 to 20. And then this time, if you lose track, just sway slightly and allow that sway rhythm to bring you back into your body, into the present moment, and into the movement of your breath. Effortless breathing, continual awareness without tension. Body, mind, and breath. Becoming one. Perhaps you notice all the sounds, and that's good because that's part of our awareness. So even external things that go on can happen while we're being mindful, and we don't lose our thread of awareness and of capacity to be with all that is. We just continue allowing our awareness to take it all in whilst remaining relaxed and present. And as you wind down, you're counting either to 10 or 20. Continue if you need to. But at the same time, bring your awareness now back to the center of the brow, softening that space, softening the outer corners of your eyes, relaxing the tissue inside your mouth, feeling that gentle smile of appreciation, of gratitude, and of ease, the corners of your mouth. Bring your awareness inside your shoulders. And as you bring your awareness there, just like when we bring awareness to any place that's tense, it's an invitation for the body to release. And with the awareness, the mind and the body will follow. So relaxing the insides of your shoulders, perhaps letting them milk down the spine towards the back pockets of your pants, if you will. Feeling them melt like ice to water, water to gas. Feeling that same relaxation and spaciousness in the palms of your hands, allowing them to just release and be open. And bringing that same spacious awareness to your belly and feeling it soft. And as we begin to wrap up, perhaps allowing your awareness now to feel the breath in your belly. And I'm going to invite you to count again with your awareness on your belly. And even if you feel like it, you could put your hands gently on your belly and feel the rise and the fall of your breath, keeping the chest somewhat still. Effortless breathing, body, mind, and breath all one. Counting back up to 10. And really harvesting now this beautiful state of calm and ease. Thinking of calm as you inhale and ease as you exhale. Knowing, just like all the sounds and the storms around us, you can bring the same relaxed presence to all of your situations throughout your day by just returning to your breath. And as we gently come back into the world, really allow yourself to ease in, pausing, to become present, even when you come into this next transition. I had a really interesting insight into transitions many years ago as a horse rider and moving from gate to gate. And, you know, as in life, transitions are not easy for our nervous system and for our physical system. Sometimes one lags behind the other, or one is far ahead of the other. And transitions, just like what we just did, coming from mindfulness back into the room, it's really important to keep that precious jewel with you and not to kind of just throw it away. And I think a lot of us, especially for me anyways, I experienced this with spinal cord injury and quite a bit of spasticity, is I can be taken out of my mindful presence really quickly and thrown off my center quite easily because my nervous system is not, it's compromised. And I think the same idea of this sort of grounding kind of not only the central nervous system through the spine, but also of our brain and our nervous system through mindfulness is really one of the biggest benefits of all of this type of a practice, is that we become more resilient to these abrupt kind of transitions, and transitions can become smoother then. Just like if we're transitioning out of a really stressful moment at work or with a child, or we throws us off, we can't get back to our email or whatever. So those are the times when we really want to think about just using mindfulness to really let that transition point be a smooth, wave. And we can surf that wave with more grace and more dignity and more compassion than if the tsunami of the change comes at us or the transition. So I'm really glad to be back and to see you all back here. And I will welcome your questions and whatnot. I also wanted to just add that we have a really great mindfulness little graphic that Sean has drawn up with John and my, and just Sean has just done a beautiful job. So this is going to be available to you. Oh, there it is. Thank you. And so we'll email it to you. We'll figure out how a way to put it up on our website, SCI&U.ca, that you could download it. It's just beautiful. And it has all the basics and everything that you would need. You can maybe, we'll figure out a couple different sizes, but you could have a wallet card or a little rack card, and one on your fridge or one in your bedroom for a quick reference for mindfulness techniques, and also the various different things that we've talked about over the course of time. Thanks, Christina. So yeah, if there's any questions or comments, we welcome them, and also invite you to go now. This will be on the YouTube channel, SCI Study, which Sonia always puts the link up, and we have it in the invite. And thank you. So yeah, welcome to the YouTube channel. Please feel free to really go in there and listen. You can go through the sessions. I'm today going to be finished preparing a little snippet for each session that describes what I do in that session and some highlights and a title, so you can find your way and navigate easier in there. But it's a great offering. And again, thank you to the Craig Nielsen Foundation for making that available to us to be able to offer it. All right, well, take care, everybody. Be well, and be like the tree, kind of go with the flow, feel your spine, and we'll see you next week.